This is James with Erogenous Tones, and this is our quick start for our new module, Structure. Structure is a eurorack visual generator module we created for musicians, VJs, and visual artists. It's designed to be a standalone box or can be part of a larger system. In this video, we're going to cover some basic concepts of Structure. We're going to go over the front panel user interface, and we're going to go over some basic operations that you'll use on Structure, and at the end we'll add some video clips of captures we've done throughout the development and testing of Structure. Alright, let's get started. Structure is a node-based visual generator system. On the left side of the display screen, we can have up to 4 nodes, which comprise the video signal path, and then an output node. We have 4 soft keys, which are associated with the various nodes in a node set. When you first turn on Structure, you'll have a single node, a generator node, which we can select, and this is a GLSL shader that is actually generating the graphics that you see on the screen. If we want to see other shaders available to us, because we have this generator selected, we can press the List soft key at the bottom of the screen, and we can see a list of all the shaders that are loaded with the original system and any that you have on your SD card. If we go to Oily Flash and Load, we can then close this window, and now we have a different shader. Soft keys to the left of List, Previous and Next, simply walk through the list of shaders. If we turn the encoder knob at the bottom of the screen, we start to see more node sets. We have over 35 node set layouts. Here we've added a generator and an effect unit. And again, effects, we can list the effects, see the different kinds, load one up and close, and see the results. We have multiple effects generator nodes. We have about 10 types of nodes on launch, and we have about 4 or 5 planned within the next 6 months or so. And as I turn the knob, now we have a generator 1 and a generator 2 node, as well as a mix node. And in this setup here, we can use just one of them selected. Here are the mix nodes, list those. We can walk through the different types of mix nodes, change how those 2 layers interact. And as we keep turning our encoder knob to go to the different node layouts, here we have the image layout, which loads the default broadcast image from our system. But if you put images on your front SD card, they'll be loaded into this menu, and you can walk through those images. You would see them in this list. We'll close that. And then we can also go to the video node. Now the video node is coming from the composite input here. When you see blue to purple, that means no signal has been found. So I have a webcam I'll plug in. And here we see a shot of one of our Structure modules hanging out with his LZX module buddies. And again, as we turn the encoder knob, now we can add the effect to the incoming video. We can select just the effect, and we can do a next or a previous, and we can change the effect on that. As we turn the encoder knob further, we'll see other options till we come to the 3D object, and here we're just mapping the video onto the 3D object, and this one is set up so that the normals will be changed by the luminance of the incoming video, which is causing this really glitchy effect. And again, with the 3D object, we can select that and press List. We get a little bit more complicated here. We can change file set, we can change the object type, and here we can change the actual 3D object that we're manipulating. And there'll be a separate video to cover 3D, because that gets pretty in-depth with everything we can do with that. So we'll continue to turn the encoder knob. Here we see an audio input, which I don't have an audio signal. I actually just have a 1-volt LZX signal here. But we can start to get a feel for that. And that's something we can list. We have different audio fragment shaders. And on and on. Here we have another audio effect unit where we're manipulating what's happening with the incoming signal. And there's one with our image, and then an XY, which would take 2 inputs to create patterns on the XY, and then we're back to generator. So that's the basic concept of how Structure is laid out, with these nodes on the left-hand side, and then various ways to access and interface with them. Now, the second part of this will go into a little more detail on the front panel, just kind of cover what everything is and what it does. Okay, let's go over the front panel of Structure and discuss the various sections. On the left side, we have our video input, which is selectable by this switch to the right of the video inputs, we can go either LZX video standard RGB if this switch is up, or we can do regular composite input if it is down, composite input from like a DVD player or a web camera. Below that are our mirrored composite outputs, and both sending the same signal out, so you can send one to a preview monitor and the other to a projector or a capture device. Next to the video in-out, we have the 5 CV inputs with scale and offset adjustable values. It can either be 1 volt LZX standard, or if the slider is down, they can be 5 volt eurorack standard. Also, I will note that the first 2 CVs, 1X and 2Y, can also be used for audio effect manipulation, depending on which node is listed in the node set. Below our CV knobs, we have 3 gate inputs, which can be set to trigger actions, which are set via the Actions menu button. For instance, here's an action where we do an invert, and here's an action where we do random. To the right of the gate inputs is our joystick. The joystick acts as another 2 controllers. Let me random again. Acts as just an XY controller. We can press and hold the red motion button and move the joystick, and it will capture that movement and then play that movement back even if we change node sets. And to stop the motion from happening, we can press the motion button a single time and it will empty the motion buffer. To the right of our joystick is the menu buttons card, and each of these will take you to a various menu, such as presets, save menu, etc. If you enter a menu and you want to get out, you can press the encoder as a button to exit the menu, and we'll have videos in the future that go in depth on what all of these buttons do. To the right of our menu buttons is our USB input, and that can take a USB keyboard or a USB MIDI keyboard, and those can be routed internally inside of Structure to the various modifiable parameters of the nodes. On the right hand side we have our macro knobs, and these are user selectable via the macro menu button that affect only the final output node. So this, for example, we have by default, we have the brightness, and we'll say blackout when there's nothing there, so you know that everything's plugged in correctly. We have brightness. We also have a hue shift assigned, and then we have the saturation, which we can use to pull out all of the colors if we want on those macro knobs. To the left of the screen we have our user interface soft key buttons, which we use to select or deselect various modules. The bottom left corner of the UI module we have the display menu. We press the display menu once, and here we can see an input of all 5 of the CV values, which if we change the offset a little and move the scale, you'd see if we were running a signal in here, we would see the actual input of what's happening. So I can add in, let me take a 1 volt from the LZX prismatic ray and put this in here, and then pull down the offset a little bit, and there you can see, a signal coming in, and if you look carefully you can see the actual waveform that it's drawing. We can also see any gates that are being triggered, and if the joystick is moving, for instance if we did our joystick motion capture here and then let it go, this will show us the paths of the joystick, what it's taking. We press motion again to stop the joystick. If we press display a second time, here we see which files are being used for each node. So if we have generator 1, generator 2, and a 3D object, we see that generator 1 is called RGB crosshatch, generator 2 is called quad hue balls, and generator, the 3D generator, is using the input to shape fragment shader, the vert shift by luminance vert object, and the object is rose UV2. And again, we'll have a video going very much in depth on the 3D objects node in future videos. We press the display button one more time. Here we will see the parameters that are being mapped for each node. So I see Gen 1 with its thumbnail that CV1X is stretch horizontal and the CV2Y is stretch vertical. So if I modify these, we'll see in the thumbnail, and you would see on your main display, those values being manipulated. We see that CV3 is the hue offset of generator 2, so just by turning this, I can change, you see in the thumbnail, the hue values of generator 2, and so on. Any item that uses the joystick, you'll see an X or a Y here, which will follow the mapping of the joystick. We press the display menu one more time, and we're back to our original preview window. So now that we've covered the basic design of Structure and the front panel, this moment I would suggest, if you have the chance, to go ahead and just press the random button and see how different combinations interact, changing also the encoder knob to try different node set layouts depending on what's loaded where, selecting some and just randomizing a few options, or unselecting, randomizing all, playing around with video input or CV input. Remember, if you're using eurorack into your CV, you'll want on the 5 volt and then adjust the scale for it coming in and then the offset to increase the bottom level of the values. If, as you're going through and exploring what it can do, you come across an interesting shader, you can press the Save menu button and it will allow us to add a preset. And we'll just go ahead and add in a couple presets, save, and then add preset. And change our order here, and random once or twice, like that. We'll hit save and add preset. Then, if we want to recall any of these presets, we can hit the preset menu button here. As we press that, we're presented with a 4x4 grid of presets that we've saved, which maps to this outlined box over the menu buttons, where this will correspond to the first, this corresponds to the second, this button corresponds to the third, as such. So I can press any of these, like back to the first one. I can press the exit button here or press the encoder knob to exit, and we're back to our original shader. So there's your overview. We'll be doing future videos that go more in depth on what Structure can do and how to modify parameters, how to create your own shaders, and import your own information into Structure. Thank you for watching, and here are some clips of Structure captures that we've gotten over the years of development.
Eurorack.